Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to Bringers of the Light Sundays. Thank you so much for joining me here yet again as we are back with our story, The Rose to San Juan Capistrano, and how the metaphors of the channeled chapter apply to the week ahead energies. Get settled in, grab a cuppa as we dive into what's going on right now and in the week ahead. So before I go any further, I'm wrapping us all in love light and light love, inviting you into this sacred circle and sacred space as I also bring in the guides who overlight all the work we do here at TLC for the Soul. Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians. I have Archangel Chamuel joining us, and a host of all other friendly TLC for the Soul companions who like to jump in and out. This energy right now, you'll see me bebopping in between working with the Huna magic and the new Lemurian light codes of the Hawaiian Islands, and working through the Celtic stuff, my little PowerPoint and Glastonbury and the Glastonbury tour, and my Celtic ancestral roots, and we'll be bebopping in between those areas. That's where we feel most happy, in our happy space. So a couple of little housekeeping items before we dive into this week ahead and kind of what's been going on since January 1st, so this whole New Year's thing, and what offerings we have to support you as we move forward. So number one is our Patreon. So I have opened a small Patreon group. It's a limited group of 20, max out at 20 people or less. Even if there's one person in there, like we're still going to do something. The guides have given me some topics they'd like me to focus on for each month, and that will probably drive the people who come into the groups. But what we have in there is we're going to have several live calls and teaching sessions and Q&A type answer sessions. So my goal for this is to have a small group where you feel fully supported on your journey as best as we can do in a group setting. So the theme for this month is we are going to focus on twin flames this month of January, because I feel like right now those of you on the twin flame journey that are part of the TLC for the Soul community need some extra support in getting your year off to a successful start. And so we're going to be focused on, we're going to take the teaching that we bring in today's Bringers of the Light show to like an extended spiritual teaching and some updates to support twin flames. So we're calling this, me and the guides are calling this the road between, and we're going to talk more about that and some things we've learned about the whole process flow of the twin flame journey as it relates to the higher realms, the astrology, and some special gates of opportunity and opportunity time that open and close for the twin flames that need to come into reunion or come in and out of a separation. They are going to give me dates of when these gates are. So these are the most opportune times that your person could reach out to you. Or if you're the person, these are the opportune times when you could be ready to reach out to your person. And from the twin flame perspective, what can you do, divine masculine, divine feminine, about those opportunity times? How can you prepare for them in the time in between? I think knowledge is power, and it is a gift from the guides to give us the actual gates, like these ranges of time when that's most opportune for twin flames to come together in the physical 3D. So I don't want to go too much. I'm going to share a little bit more at the end of this Bringers of the Light episode. We're going to bring in the channeled chapter, talk about the week ahead, and bring out the metaphors of how that applies to everybody. Excuse me. And then if you're on the twin flame journey, you can stay on, hopefully you'll stay on, and I'll share a little bit of extra information about this and what I'm talking about. And you can see if the small group, speaks to you or not. So for everyone, we have quite a few new people on board. The channels have doubled in size in terms of the following people partaking of the content. And so I just want to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is TAMI Chambers. This is TLC for the Soul. We've been around as a podcast and a YouTube channel since the fall of 2018. There's over 400 shows, and I think there's more now because I think I got some email that there may be like 500 now. I don't even know. So I get an email from some tube YouTube analytics, and I think we may actually have more than 400 now. So to support you, use the show as an oracle to support you on your journey. We've got the podcast available at all major podcast providers. We actually have 3 YouTube channels, but I don't really use the third one as much. That one's my author channel, TAMI Chambers. I have TLC for the Soul, and I have Loveland Tarot, where we focus more on the romance aspect of the journey, whether that you're a soulmate partnership, twin flame, divine union, divine counterparts. That's a little bit more of what we focus on at Loveland Tarot. And there's some twin flame, a lot of twin flame. That's where the majority of the twin flame stuff lives as well. I'm also an author. I write channeled fiction and nonfiction. One of my gifts is clairaudience. So everything that we bring onto the show, I call it quote unquote channeled. So I invited my guides into sacred space. I call them in. I call in the spirit friends that I want to work with. In this case today, we're working with the Bringers of the Light. I get out my keyboard, I get out my phone, and I just say, okay, we're doing chapter 5. And I just listen to what they tell me, and I just type out what I hear. And those are the chapters, which eventually become a book. All my ebooks are free to read. We have fiction. We have our nonfiction book out there right now is Eat Like a Lemurian. There's more to come. I just have not really been doing books so much as a big priority, but we work through a book on Sundays. We bring in a chapter, and then those become books. And all the links to everything I talk about are always in the show notes. So if you want to read, we've got many book series out there. We've got the Thunder Rose collection, the Kyanite Fairy Wing series, the Shamanic series, we've got the Soulmate series, and the Bringers of the Light series. So I have over 15 published books, fiction and nonfiction out there right now. And you can just take what resonates, They're all written with a higher intention in mind. So it's not just a story. So when we're bringing in the chapters here on the channel, you can choose to interact with them as you most desire. Some people just like to listen to them. Like they are fun stories. That's why I like to write them because I never know what's going to happen. I don't plan these things out. I just take each chapter as it's channeled in, and it becomes the book. But you can interact with them as a fun story and just, fall into the fandom of the Bringers of the Light and some of these other series that I have. Or you can invite in your own spirit guides and pull out. They're rich with metaphors and downloads and activations and healing in every single book, depending on what floats your boat and suits your fancy. So we've got the Patreon going on. So that link is there if you want to go take a look at that. The offering is there right now. It's brand new in January. Sacred space. So you're not going to see a whole bunch of content in there right now until I start putting stuff in there for this month. So, just keep that in mind, and I will add things as we go on. being in line with the topic that I just talked about for the month ahead. The other thing we are doing is a lot of healing with Huna Magic. If you want some more healing from us, because we have not done a lot of, I'm a Reiki master, I'm a master healer, I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I haven't done a lot of healing episodes. So we're going to try to bring more of those in. And I've been gifted with the opportunity to do some Aloha Reiki, some Huna healing, and I'm going to stick with the Lemurian side of things and the Hawaii side of things. And so we'll be using some hula hands and so forth to deliver some Aloha Reiki. And I'll be loading those probably on the podcast as well as on TLC for the Soul. So that's coming up this month. And we'll be doing a Huna healing for disappointment, just getting you off to a good start for the month ahead. I know we're already 7 days in, but that's okay. Just things happen when they happen, and things get out there when they get out there. Such is the nature of how I work. I load what I need to get out there when I feel like our community needs that information. And so that's when I'm guided to share it. And I think that is all the updates and the news that we have right now. We do daily, almost daily. I don't post I almost post every day. Shorts for the day's energy vibe on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, TLC for the Soul. And every other day or so, I do a romance daily vibe on Loveland Tarot and on Instagram and TikTok. So we are all over the place. We are getting quite busy and we are growing quite quickly. So welcome in. All right. If you're not familiar with how we do things here, because you've just joined us for the first time, this is where you can choose to listen to our story as a fun story and just get to know the characters, or you can call in your guides and ask them to help you pull out any metaphors or meanings or things from this chapter, which I will read the chapter. It's relatively short. And then I will pull out the metaphors that I see for the community that's listening to this. Excuse me. And then I'm going to ask if there's any twin flames that want to stay on. I have some special messages for twin flames at the end of this one. And the other thing I am doing is, I know it can feel disjointed because we only get a new chapter every Sunday. So as part of my editing process, I've been creating an audiobook for this book. So sometime today, I will be uploading chapters. Where are we now? 1 through 5? I think we're on chapter 5. Let me just get there. There's lots of light language on this channel. It may be like, what is she talking about? Or it may resonate deep down in your bones and your DNA. Yeah, we're on chapter 5. So I will upload the audiobook for chapters 1 through 5, either right before or right after this show, sometime today. So if you want to catch up with this story, I'll try to do that on the Sundays as well, so that if you want to catch up with the whole story, you have the previous chapters in less of a disjointed fashion. And then eventually we have the whole audiobook out there as well. All right, so it's been a few Sundays since we brought in this story, but this is the Rose of San Juan Capistrano. It's the second of our Rose series for Spirit Guides of Tessa Locke's, my book series. This is the Rose of Inner Power. The other one was the Rose of Santo Domingo, which was kind of a rose of love and romancy poopiness, and it brought Calvin and Rosalie together. The twin flames in the soulmates, twin flames, divine counterparts in this book are Rosalie and Calvin O'Hanrahan. They were brought together by the Rose of Santo Domingo in the first book. Rosalie has her friends, her little house friends, her Catamancy, who's her cat wizard familiar, Molly McBottoms, which is the house fae that lives around inside Rosalie's house and kind of helps take care of all the plants that Rosalie has, because Rosalie's like a master gardener type person. And then there's Greer, the house elf, because I've just always wanted a house elf to help take care of things. And this Greer guy is really good, really good. All right, so I just want to do quick synopsis to bring us up to speed. But Rosalie and Calvin, unbeknownst to them, I don't know why it's unbeknownst to them so far, but they are on soul mission as a twin flame pair in union in the 3D. And they do some work for Bringers of the Light headquarters. They're just getting started, I feel, because they just got together like the previous book. And they have been called by Bringers of the Light headquarters, phoned them up, and kind of pretended to be some spa in the town of Whistling Gulch who has some sort of bad energy that's trying to take over. So that's a lot of what happens in these Bringers of the Light stories. There's some dark forces trying to take over somewhere. And our Bringers of the Light pairs are brought in. Tamber and Jameson is another pair. Our famous Abigail and Dakar that started, I have a deep affinity for Abigail and Dakar because they started this whole book series back with Abigail Smile and Pumpkin Pie Latte, the book that we did that very first started this series way back in October of, I don't even know when now. When was that? 2020? I don't know when it was. But anyway, so now, and they were in Rockaway Point, and now we have the sister city, Tussalok. And so Calvin and Rosalie have been called to Whistling Gulch, deep in the forest of the Forbidden Bears, and deep within the perimeter of Tussalok's jurisdiction, to try to figure out what's going on with these dark forces. There's been some sort of evil little sprite guy, Mr. S. I swear, Mr. S. My guides are so funny because I told you I don't plan these out. So they brought in Mr. S. And it's kind of an homage because I really like that movie, School of Rock. When he's trying to say his name is Mr. Schneebly. Jack Black's trying to write like Mr. Schneebly on the board, but it's the name of his roommate and he doesn't know how to spell Schneebly. And so he's like, you can just call me Mr. S. And so through the whole movie, the kids are calling him Mr. S. And we find out that Whistling Gulch, even though it looks really great on the outside, has some sinister things trying to take over and go on. And so it's a green sprite, Mr. S. He has his minions and he's working for Dark Forces HQ. And so when Molly McBottoms and Greer and Catamancy hear that Rosalie and Calvin have been called into divine service, they realize that the two are going to need some help from the Rose of San Juan Capistrano. And these three little spirit friends help cart these roses around to help out. And so they were the three little friends that helped get the Rose of Santo Domingo out to where it needed to be, wherever it was somewhere. I can't remember now. And it's the rose that it exuded its poopy love vibes, and it brought the two together. So when they hear that Rosalie and Calvin are leaving to the Forest of Forbidden Bears and going to Whistling Gulch, they had to pack up the rose of, and you may hear me refer to it as the rose of SJC, but the rose of San Juan Capistrano. They had to pack it up and get it into the limo, just as when the limo was coming for Rosalie and Calvin. They hustled the little Rose of San Juan Capistrano into the trunk of the limo. And so everybody's on board the limo now, headed towards the Whistling Gulch retreat. We don't know what's going to happen there with Mr. S and the Forest of Forbidden Bears. But right now in chapter 5, so we drop into chapter 5, and Calvin and Rosalie are in the limo. Calvin has brought along a bottle of his favorite, I think it's Irish whiskey or something. Like he always likes, it's a call out to the ancestors, and apparently his ancestors and his grandfather, whatever, whenever they would go on a trip, they would always take a shot of this special little Irish whiskey, and just to commemorate this joint venture or whatever, and they're going out on this trip together. Safe travels and all that good stuff. So, kind of what is it? breaking the champagne on the cruise ship do they still do that? I wonder if that's still even done. What is it like when you're, never mind. Okay, so we're going to drop into chapter 5. Pay attention if you are the person that's listening more with your master senses and not so much just listening to the story. Pay attention to like the chapter numbers, the words, sometimes the cadence of my voice. Downloads could be coming through as I'm speaking to you, just through the light language in my voice. I'm going to read this, pull out, and then we'll do the metaphors together, and then I'm going to tuck into the twin flame stuff at the very, very end. So if you're a twin flame, you can stay on for that. So this is chapter 5, the limo and the whiskey toast. It's time, Calvin said, pulling out the whiskey and the shot glasses. Rosalie was still trying to get used to this custom, but she had promised herself that she would support her person as a sort of secret pact to her union. She really didn't like whiskey, but it was only one drink, and it made Calvin feel safe and honoring of his past and the ancestors. She took the crystal shot glass filled with a little dollop of whiskey. Calvin knew Rosalie didn't like the whiskey toast, but he appreciated the care and attention she took to nurture their relationship. Tonight, he would show her just how much he appreciated all the things she did for him. He could be very amorous and fulfilling of her every desire. And when she had that 2 a.m. craving for a slice of chocolate rum cake, he would lovingly get out of bed and procure this for her. To our journey, he lifted his shot glass and clinked with hers. To our journey, she clinked back and then downed the small drink. She coughed. He coughed, and then he took her glass and set it next to his on the little bar cart. One can only imagine why they needed to toast this journey, but when they felt an urge to do something, they always followed through with it. Calvin took Rosalie's hand in his, and they both relaxed back against the opulent upholstery. The driver buzzed back into the back of the car. "We're coming up on a Whistling Gulch in about 5 minutes." Calvin turned to Rosalie. Rosalie turned to Calvin. They looked deep into each other's eyes. "To our future," they both said at the same time. Right at that moment, Mr. S. was also drinking a toast to the future, but his was a future where dark forces had taken over the town, and he and his master ruled with an iron claw. Could the Rose of San Juan Capistrano and the little team of Bringers of the Light handle this assignment? Well, of course they can. The limo bumped gently along the dirt road up to the retreat, and Greer and Molly McBottoms readied themselves for the next leg of the journey. Okay, I'm just looking at chapter 6. I like to bring in the title of chapter 6 before I channel in the chapter. Chapter 6 is going to be, this is for next week, an old geezer stops by. Oh, great. I can only imagine what's going to happen there in the real world. Or in the real world. No, it's not. Wait, this is the real world. That's the 3D world. Never mind. I'm just being silly. Okay. The limo and the whiskey toast. Well, I think if you're going to play with the metaphors here, it's pretty obvious. It's all about relationships. I really feel like 2024 is a year about building and maintaining relationships of all kinds, and not just twin flames. This is a very special year for twin flames, though, I have to say, because of the 8, that it's an 8 year, and that's an infinity year. But yeah, big chills there. So it's a week of compromise. It's a week of understanding that, well, number one, good things take time, but good times take things. Good things take time. Good times take things. Yeah, you want to have good times with your person, your partner, your soulmate, your friend, or whatever. Sometimes it does take the little things, the little compromises, that you might not always necessarily make if you were by yourself. So in this case, like, I think if Rosalie was going by herself to the Whistling Gulch retreat, she wouldn't be taking a shot of whiskey, right? She'd be like, who knows what she would have. What kind of drink would Rosalie have? Some fizzy little, maybe peppermint schnapps. It still is the winter time. I would have some, I would have some sort of, that was a labradorite. Everything's falling over. Okay, we're getting some tower moments. I would have some sort of peppermint schnapsy drink. I don't know. It sounds good. But it is a week of, maybe it's a week of tower moments too. Yes, there is. Okay, so that's some twin flame stuff to talk about with these gates. But it's a week of compromise. It's a week of understanding how partnership and divine partnership works. It's a week of feeling like, you're going to support your person in the 3D world and in the 5D world. Whatever that looks like to you. And, it's understanding that it is a journey, and in the case of the twin flames, it's a journey that's not just a journey of 2 3D people. So we're going to get more into that in the Patreon too, in the teaching for this month. But it's really, they're calling it like the spiritual business of the twin flame journey. So we're going to dive more into that. But I think any partnership between 2 people is in effect some sort of quote unquote spiritual business. There could be karmic things to discover and heal. There could be just more things about this other soul to discover and be in wonderment about. Looking deeper beyond the 3D face and facade, into the soul behind the mask that is the human face. And understanding from a deep soul level who that person really is and what they mean to you at a deeper level, more than just this lifetime. And how can you support that? How do souls support each other, and why are they supporting each other? Why are souls supporting each other? Like, I think there's a lot you could go really dive deep into some of those. I guess you're going to call them like journal prompts if you want to do it like that. If you're I'm not a journaling type person, but if you're a journaling type person, how do souls support each other? What does that look like? Why are they here? To our future, they said, and they looked deep into each other's eyes. But what future are we talking about? Are we talking about just this lifetime? Because I really feel like, as I'm in the second half of my life, that I'm doing a lot of things now that go beyond supporting my soul in this lifetime. I feel like this soul is already preparing itself for the next lifetime through, working up the good karma banks and doing a lot of service work and really trying to look ahead in terms of what are key aspects of my soul growth that I want to bring forward as a legacy of my own soul, and as a legacy for the other souls that are part of the relationships that I'm working with in this 3D world, in this now. Building a legacy of love and a legacy of learning and a legacy of ascension and upgrades, and how are we supporting each other. I feel like, excuse me, there's a lot to really dive deep into the metaphors of this one little tiny chapter, where if you are just sitting here like reading it, you'd be like, what? Where's she coming up with all this stuff? So you can see how deep spirit can go if you feel like taking it as such. So I'm going to leave that there. And if you are a twin flame, then I invite you to stay on for a couple more minutes. I just want to tease out a couple more things in relation to this chapter. And if you're not a twin flame, you're welcome to stay too and help support those of us on the twin flame journey, because it's as hard and potentially even possibly more difficult at times than just being on a regular soul journey. It's like being on the regular soul journey times 2. Gosh, something going on with throat chakras today. For my twin flames. for those of you in separation, for those of you who haven't met your person, for those of you that have met your person and have gone into a separation, no matter how long the separation is, whether it's a day or days or months or years, this is for you. I had some interesting moments over the past couple of days where I was feeling kind of deeply disappointed about my journey, and I just told my guides, I'm like, you know what? Number one, personally, I did not ask consciously to be on the twin flame journey. I didn't know what it was way back when, and even now, I'm like, you know what? I really don't care. I do, but I don't care if my twin shows up or not. I want a person who's in alignment with me. I want a soul partner who's in alignment with me, right? I don't care if that's a twin flame or not. But apparently, if that's part of your soul blueprint to be on a twin flame journey, and part of it is manifesting a 3D relationship with your twin. And so I had this kind of little wobble, I guess, because on this journey you have to be to support your twin, no matter which one you are, the masculine or the feminine, divine masculine, divine feminine. I'm talking about gender, but I'm talking about the energies, which one you more fully align with. If you're the divine feminine, you're supporting a divine masculine who's potentially got a lot of confidence issues right now in this partnership. You're supporting someone who goes back and forth a lot. If you're the divine masculine who's got the confidence issues, recognizing that there's a divine feminine who's out there, really also, I know you are too, but you both are working your ass off, and there's so much ambiguity about this journey and what's happening here. And I finally got the download or the divine clarity. The separation thing is running in phases. And so again, I feel knowledge is power, and the guides are willing to give us the gates. So what happens here? I just want to explain it very high level, and then we're going to dive into this teaching with the gates and all that, and more about how you can support yourself and your person in our Patreon teaching. But and I think I'm going to offer that in two ways. So I will let you know more about that in a moment. But there's these gates and windows of opportunities for twin flames. This is when the energy is at a peak for you to come into 3D contact or communication, reunion, come out of separation, whatever terms you want to use for it with your person. And for the divine feminine, both the divine feminine and the divine masculine, you can feel this energy ramping up. The divine masculine feels oh, I really want to, connect with my feminine. The divine feminine is I can really feel my divine masculine coming. You may see big chills, a huge influx of whatever your signs are from your person. Mine is 2-2. I see 2-2-2 all over the place all day long. And the energy is ramping up. You can feel it. And then you feel the energy dissipate and nothing happens. And you don't hear anything from your person on the divine feminine side. And on the divine masculine side, you're oh, there I go again. Didn't take advantage of that opportunity because I was shy, or I just didn't feel like it, or something else came up, or I let it slip by because of a myriad of reasons that I don't want to go into here. I will take that deeper later. But that's what we're going to do this month, is help with some of those ebbs and flows. Because then what happens is both of you go into this. The gate closes and nothing happens. And then both of you go into a deep disappointment and despair because the divine masculine feels he let the divine feminine down because he didn't reach out. The divine feminine feels let down and feels disappointed and has no idea what's going on. And we're here to help shed light on that. And from the now we're in an in-between state. Now we're in a state where the energy does not support the reunion, coming out of separation or communication. And that's the state in between these gates that I'm talking about. But the road in between is a road rich with opportunity to help prepare for the next gate opening that comes up. Usually there's one a month. They're saying there's a window of opportunity every month. There's this gate opening of opportunity every month. That's why if you listen to other channels, you may hear like this person like, oh, reunion's coming, reunion's coming, reunion's coming, reunion's coming, and then nothing happens. And you're like, well, I guess there was no reunion coming for me. And it's like, yes, it was. The opportunity was there, but something was happening in the union that stopped it. And it's not just that your person didn't want to reach out to you, or it's not just that you were given up on, you were given up on your person from the divine feminine perspective. The alignment has to go both ways, and both have to be in alignment at the same time. That's the quote unquote divine timing, I think, that we're hearing about. Yeah, give me confirmation on that. It's the divine timing that we're hearing about in these unions. And there's other stuff they're saying. It's not just that. But when these gates open, if both of you are in alignment, if you've both done your healing work, if you've been hearing over and over again that you're ready, you're ready, you're ready, you're ready, and you're like, okay, I'm ready, and then still nothing happens, this is the other part of the divine timing that has to happen. It's like spinning a plate and 2 plates and 3 plates and standing on a ball and balancing. It's like so many things. It's just crazy. And it's not an insurmountable task. It's just that the emotions, the mental body, the physical body, and the physical world, 3D world, have to just be like so tightly aligned to make it happen. So we are coming up on a gate here for January. They told me it was between the 11th and the 15th. So I'm going to drop this teaching wherever they guide me to drop this teaching about this month ahead, and how to take opportunity of these gates that are coming up. But we're in the road in between right now, if you listen to this within the next couple of days. And how do you take advantage of that? So I'm going to go and do the extended for this. And because I don't want to make this too long of a show, it's not really the purpose of this show. But I did want to start bringing up these concepts here for you, especially to support you in your week ahead energies, and know that they've given us a little bit more of the quote unquote Da Vinci Code to help us crack the code of these things for the twin flame journey. So I'm in deep gratitude for the guides for being willing to share that with us. So whether you're a twin flame or not, whether you've listened to the very end, I want to thank you so much for joining us here yet again. And we will see you all very, very soon. Take care. A prayer for courage. In the silence, I meet you here. We wander through the shadow and leaves of our fears. How can I overcome this doubt and insecurity? You say, look within me. Doubt dissolves. Fears dissipate. In your loving look, all else abates.